Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show. This time we're checking out the latest AMG-tunes E-Class, the E63 S.
We also have a pair of performance-focused plug-in hybrids from Volkswagen and Skoda and a four-door coupe from BMW.
Plus some sporty crossovers courtesy of Ford and Hyundai, and we take a look at the 2022 Toyota Corolla. That's all coming up. First though, the news.
Fiat has added new mild hybrid powertrains to its Tipo and 500X lineups. Both cars are now available with a 48-volt mild hybrid system paired up to the brand's 1.5-litre Firefly engine. Combined, the setup produces 128 brake horsepower, with drive sent to the front wheels via a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Fiat reckons that the new powertrain will reduce emissions by up to 11% compared with the regular unassisted engines in the range. Performance is also improved, with the 500X's 0-62 dropping to 9.4 seconds and the Tipos dropping to 9.3, 2 seconds quicker than the entry-level 1 litre. A variety of autonomous safety tech has also been added, along with a host of updates included in the recent 500X facelift.
The GTI moniker has been around for what seems like forever. 3 letters that, when associated with a VW hatchback, represent power, speed and fun, all on a budget. Since the name's inception in 1976, it has gained diesel and plug-in hybrid cousins, named GTD and GTE respectively. With the Golf's 8th generation now taking on from where the 7th left off, VW has brought out its latest GTE model. Along with the e-hybrid, the GTE is one of 2 plug-in hybrid versions of the new Golf so far, and with 40 horsepower more than the e-hybrid, it's surely the sportier option of the 2. But is this really a hybrid for hot hatch lovers? Visually, the new GTE looks all but identical to the GTI and GTD models. There are some flashy red brake calipers and tasteful optional 18-inch alloys. It doesn't have the iconic red trim of the GTI, but there's no doubting its sporting credentials. Perhaps the biggest giveaway that this isn't a thoroughbred GTI though is the exhaust pipes, or lack thereof, with just some chrome trim mimicking the uglier real things that are hidden underneath. The old-school hot hatch format is preserved with a front-wheel drive drivetrain, though the manual 6-speed from the GTI has been ditched for a 6-speed DSG. It perhaps isn't a car for the purist then, but it's not lacking in performance. It produces 242 brake horsepower, the same as a GTI, from a 1.4-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder with help from a 13 kWh battery. The added batteries compared to the non-hybrid model add an eye-watering 176 kilograms, though they do allow for up to 40 miles of electric-only range, easily enough to cover the average daily commute. In all-electric mode, the sporty hybrid will reach a maximum of 80 miles per hour, while the petrol engine will boost that to 140. It'll complete the 0-62 sprint in 6.7 seconds, 0.4 seconds slower than its petrol sibling despite an extra chunk of electric torque. With its tartan sports seats, the GTE continues the long-standing tradition in Golf GT models. The rest of the interior is like any other Mark 8 Golf. Most buttons one would expect in a modern car have been removed, with most functionalities requiring navigating the 10-inch touchscreen or the frustrating haptic controls.
Combined, the VW Group has a variety of sporty plug-in hybrids, one of which is this, the Skoda Octavia VRS. Being based on the same platform as the Golf GTE, on paper, the two cars are very similar. The same engine and battery pack put out the same amount of power, though the Octavia is half a second slower to 60 and its top speed drops by a single mile per hour. In the grand scheme of things, that minute difference is never going to matter, but when we're splitting hairs, it counts. Despite having a smidge less performance on paper, the Skoda's interior looks sportier than the Golf's. With buttons decorating the centre console and a prettier gear selector, it's certainly a more conventional place to be than the VW. Alcantara covers the dashboard and door cards, giving a sportier feel than the Golf.
Both the Volkswagen and the Skoda cost just over £37,000, but it's the Czech car that gets our vote. With the performance so closely matched, it goes down to personal taste, but to us, the Octavia's sporty styling and simple interior make it the hot hybrid to go for.
After the break, BMW's new 4 Series GRAN Coupe and the Mercedes E63. Coming up, a big V8 Merc. But first,
here in Europe, the cheap saloon car is all but extinct. Even slightly bigger cars like the Volkswagen Passat and Peugeot 508 are now rather rare sights on the roads, with the majority of four-door cars being built by the likes of BMW and Mercedes. Instead, the hatchback is still the most popular type of car, continuing to fend off the SUV offensive. Over in the States, though, the saloon, or rather sedan, is still king. Cars like this, the 2022 Toyota Corolla. And while that name may be familiar, this isn't the same family hatchback that we get in Europe. Instead, the liftback has been replaced by a traditional boot lid. Recently redesigned following on from the new hatchback version, the Corolla has inherited some tech from the bigger Prius. As a result, the Corolla is finally offered with a hybrid powertrain, essential for keeping up with its rivals. Entry-level cars use a 1.8-litre four-cylinder and a rather noisy CVT gearbox for a total output of 139 horsepower. But while it won't win many drag races, the Corolla still offers a huge amount of bang for your buck, as what it lacks in performance, it more than makes up for in equipment. There are loads of different trim levels to choose from, but even the most basic cars get a mobile hotspot, touchscreen infotainment and Apple CarPlay, although Android Auto is conspicuously absent. It does get Amazon Alexa though, helping you keep your eyes on the road and not on the screen. Top trim levels get various other luxuries like leather and fancy audio systems, but all cars come with numerous bits of safety tech like lane keep assist and autonomous emergency braking.
But despite being one of the world's best-selling cars for years now, it doesn't have the market to itself, far from it. The 2022 Hyundai Elantra is another US market sedan with a fresh, new look. The old model had little in the way of curb appeal, but the new car looks much more interesting. With its angular design and on-trend big grille, it certainly stands out against the more subdued Toyota. In fact, from any angle, it looks like much more premium product. despite costing about the same as the Corolla with a base price of a little over $20,000. Like the Toyota, the Elantra is now available as a hybrid, with a 43 horsepower electric motor paired up to a 1.6-litre engine. The total output is identical to the Toyota's at 139 horsepower. The interior, though, is a little more upmarket, with optional digital driver's displays and a minimalistic look.
There are countless other choices in this class, but these cars represent the best blend of practicality, style and value. But choosing between them is tricky. For us though, it's the Hyundai that just edges it thanks to its striking looks and modern interior. And while there's still only a very small market for cars like this in Europe, it's the Elantra that we'd most like to see make its way over here.
In the past, the BMW 4 Series GRAN Coupe was a sleeker, more stylish alternative to the more humdrum 3 Series. Now though, there's a new one. And it seems the GRAN Coupe's key selling point may be in danger. Yes, you can't talk about the new 4 Series without mentioning that grille. Well, there it is. Let's move on, shall we? The 4 Series GRAN Coupe, as its name suggests, is a 4-door version of the 4 Series, which itself is a 2-door version of the 3 Series. Confused? Us too. But this is the second generation of the car, so obviously there is a demand for it. Essentially a lower, more dapper 3 Series, the GRAN Coupe looks good for the most part, especially here in this M-specific aventurine red. It gets a number of bespoke styling touches such as the flush door handles and more muscular bonnet. As you'd expect, there are a number of petrol and diesel engines to choose from, with the range topping out with this M440i X-Drive model. Under the bonnet is a turbocharged 3-litre straight-six, producing 369 brake horsepower, 11 horsepower of which is produced by the 48-volt mild hybrid system. With help from its all-wheel drive and launch control systems, the M440i will cover 62 miles per hour from rest in 4.7 seconds, onto an electronically governed top speed of 155. It's quick then, and BMW has been careful to ensure it's fun to drive too, with perfect 50-50 weight distribution. What's more, it's practical too. The GRAN Coupe is a hatchback rather than a saloon, so loading big items into the 470-litre boot is a doddle. The downsides? Well, it is a few grand more than the equivalent 3 Series, and those big kidney grills won't be to everyone's taste. The end result, though, is an impressive car for those who want to stand out.
The Hyundai Kona isn't really the sort of car that lights a fire in the hearts of petrol heads. It's a small, economical crossover SUV for driving about town, with its lofty driving position and stylish cabin. There's even an electric one with an excellent range and impressively competitive price tag. Now though, it seems Hyundai has gone a bit mad. This is the new Kona N, a crossover for petrol heads. And while that may seem like a bit of an oxymoron, Hyundai insists that this is every bit the performance car. It gets some mean-looking exhausts at the back, a chunky spoiler and plenty of red bits reminding you you're in something sporty. Inside, it gets the familiar N steering wheel with driving mode buttons and some body-hugging sports seats to keep you in place as you explore the limits of crossover SUV grip. Following on from the brilliant i30 and i20 N models, the Kona N has a reputation to uphold. Targeting the likes of the Ford Puma ST and Volkswagen T-Roc R, it's basically a hot hatchback on stilts. And while on paper this may not sound all that enthralling to keen drivers, hear it out, as under the bonnet you'll find a turbocharged 2-litre engine pumping out a meaty 286 brake horsepower. To access that power though, you need to make sure you're in the correct gearbox setting, known as N-GRAN mode. Sounds like a bit of a gimmick to us. Other modes include N Power Shift and N Track Sense Shift, which, according to Hyundai, result in faster shifting and maximum driving exhilaration. Under the skin, the Kona N gets an electronic limited slip differential, quick ratio steering and active dampers from an i30N, which have been tuned to cope with the extra ride height and weight. However, this is not the only crossover aimed at driving enthusiasts, and our current favourite will take some beating.
This is the new Ford Puma ST, and straight from the off things look promising. It shares most of its underpinnings with one of our favourite hot hatches, the brilliant Fiesta ST. It gets the same 197 brake horsepower 3-cylinder 1.5. Not much by the standards of some fast SUVs, but it should be enough to raise a smile or two. Drive is sent to the front wheels only via a 6-speed manual transmission, making this more of a high-riding hot hatch than an SUV. The chassis also borrows lots of bits from the Fiesta. The whole car has been stiffened up, while the standard Puma brakes have been upgraded, and the steering rack is 25% quicker. There's also an optional limited slip diff working alongside a torque vectoring system to help pull the car around corners and eliminate understeer. Of course, this being a bigger car than the Fiesta and 100 kilos heavier, it isn't quite as fast. It's not bad though, hitting 62 miles per hour from a standstill in 6.7 seconds, 2/10 behind its smaller sibling. And of course, the Puma ST has had a sporty makeover. There's a new front splitter adding 80% more downforce, and a rear wing and diffuser at the back, which we suspect aren't quite so effective. They look cool though, giving the car a much more purposeful look. The interior has also been updated with various bits of sporty trim and ST badges dotted around. The excellent infotainment from the regular Puma is present and correct too, completing the ST's everyday appeal.
While the Hyundai may be faster, the character and dynamics of the Ford are very desirable. Of course though, neither is as appealing as the hot hatches they're based on.
It's often said that the power isn't the be-all and end-all of performance cars. But when it comes to the bulging brutes Mercedes-AMG division puts out, it's hard not to be amazed by the numbers. Be it a family hatchback or an enormous 4x4, AMG will tune it. This time, the Affalterbach engineers have turned their attention to Merc's executive stalwart, the E-Class. For decades, it's been the platform for some of AMG's most beloved cars. So how does this new one get on? It's called the E63 S, and as you'd expect, it's got a wider stance and better aerodynamics. But as ever with a new AMG model, the engine is surely the centrepiece. The same 4-litre bi-turbo V8 that was used in the previous E63 has been pushed to a mighty 612 brake horsepower, a fantastic figure for a practical saloon car. All that power is kept in check by the Mercedes' now customary 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. The 9-speed automatic transmission can be overridden by a pair of paddles behind the steering wheel should you decide to really take control. The Estate may lose a bit of performance compared to the Saloon, but it looks so much better. The slightly less aerodynamic roofline and added weight of the Estate drops the 0 to 62 miles per hour time from 3.4 to 3.5 seconds, while top speed falls to 180 miles per hour from 186 for the Saloon. As standard, the E63 S comes with a drift mode, sending all the power to the rear wheels, although this is reserved for track use, obviously. If you look past all the noise and carbon fibre though, the sporty E-Class is a luxurious long-distance cruiser. It's packed full with all the usual E-Class luxuries and technology. Stylish, powerful and built with comfort in mind, this renewed top-of-the-range E-Class is every bit the AMG.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we take a look at a new MPV from BMW, the new 2 Series Active Tourer.